Welcome back to the show. Today, we're diving into the world of potential trades for a certain NFL team based in Dallas. As draft season approaches, it's always fun to analyze the theoretical implications of moving up or down the draft board. Whether it's a team trading its first-round pick, second-round pick, or even swapping players, the draft offers endless possibilities for reshaping a team's future. And while the draft can sometimes feel like a game of chance, it's also a strategic exercise, one where team executives have to weigh the value of every selection, balancing the risk and reward of each trade. Now, to break this down, we'll be using the updated NFL trade value chart. This chart gives us an idea of how much different draft picks are worth in terms of trade value. Of course, this isn't a perfect science. Teams sometimes pay more than they should, or get away with paying less for a pick or player than they might have expected. Trades are never simple transactions. They're always influenced by factors such as leverage, negotiations, and the needs of the teams involved. For example, there was a team last year that ended up overpaying for a draft pick, which later influenced their decision to trade down in the first round. This updated trade value chart offers a reliable starting point for understanding the potential costs and benefits of making a deal. The big question on everyone's mind as the draft approaches is whether or not we'll see any major trades on draft day, especially during the first few rounds. What do you think? Are we about to witness some big-time moves? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But before we jump into the specifics, let's look at some potential trade scenarios and what they could mean for Dallas and their position in the draft. The first proposal that we need to look at is one that involves making a bold move, an aggressive trade to leapfrog some of the teams ahead of Dallas in the draft order. The goal here would be to secure one or two elite players, and there are certainly a few notable names that could be targeted. Moving up to the fourth overall pick seems like a realistic path, and to do this, Dallas might need to trade away future picks. The thing with future picks is that their value is always up for debate. Different teams value them in different ways. So, in order to move from Dallas' current position at number 12 to number 4, they'd likely need to package this year's first-round pick with 2 second-round selections in a trade. While that sounds like a hefty price to pay, it's still a bit of a bargain compared to previous trades that involve players of exceptional caliber. If everything falls into place, this could give Dallas the chance to land one of the top players in the draft, someone who could potentially change the trajectory of the franchise for years to come. One player who stands out in this scenario is someone with the versatility to excel in 2 different positions, offering a level of flexibility that many teams would love to have. But even though this scenario seems to be a great opportunity, it's not without its complexities. The challenge here lies in the negotiations and understanding just how much teams are willing to pay to move up and what each of them values in terms of draft picks. It's easy to talk about trading up, but the intricacies of such a move are often far more complicated. Sometimes, it's not just about the talent you're getting. It's also about the price you're willing to pay. If we take a step back and look at another possibility, things get even more interesting. Let's talk about a scenario that's a little more unique and less likely to happen, but it's still worth considering. Dallas hasn't made a move in the first round since 2012, so this would be a significant departure from their usual strategy. The goal here would be to acquire a player who's slipping down the draft board, someone who, despite falling, is still considered one of the top 5 players on a team's board. In this case, Dallas could look at moving up to the 12th pick by giving up their 3rd-round pick. But there's a catch. This year, there's no 4th-round pick available, which means Dallas would need to navigate those limitations while figuring out how to make the most of the picks they have. If the goal is to move all the way up to the 6th pick, it would likely require parting with a 2nd-round pick, or at least a combination of picks that could help secure that spot. To do this, Dallas might need to offer their 1st-round pick and another 3rd-round pick to jump up to 8th overall. This would be a bit of a gamble, but depending on which players are still available at that point, it could be worth it. Players like Mason Graham, Ashton Jenney, or T-Mac could be among those targeted, or perhaps even a key offensive lineman like Will Campbell. However, there's a risk here, and the reality is that the selection of players may not work out the way Dallas hopes. Shifting gears slightly, another trade scenario that could be worth considering is moving back in the draft. Not every team is looking to move up, And in this case, a trade down could provide more opportunities to build depth or acquire future assets. Some teams might be interested in moving up to the 12th pick, and if that's the case, Dallas could look to move back just a little bit. Moving down from the 12th spot to the 14th or 15th pick could open up the chance to acquire additional picks, especially if Dallas isn't entirely sold on any specific player at that position. This scenario could also help the team balance the books, potentially helping them acquire picks that might be more valuable in future drafts. This approach isn't without its risks, though. If Dallas decides to move back, they could miss out on the players they're interested in. With so many teams targeting key positions like defensive backs, pass rushers, or wide receivers, there's a chance that by moving back, Dallas could lose out on all of those players. Still, the idea of accumulating more picks and stockpiling assets for the future is something that has its merit, especially if the team feels they can develop talent with additional selections down the line. All of this brings us back to the big question: how aggressive should Dallas be on draft day? Should they move up and try to grab an elite talent? Or should they play it safe and move down, hoping to find value later in the draft? There's a lot of uncertainty around what's going to happen on draft day, but the possibilities are endless. The key to making a smart decision lies in understanding the value of each pick and knowing when to pull the trigger on a trade. Whatever happens, it's sure to be an exciting time for Dallas and its fans as they try to figure out how to best position themselves for the future. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you prefer to see Dallas move up or move down in the draft? And what are your thoughts on some of the players mentioned? It's all about making the right decisions, and there's a lot riding on what happens in the coming days as the draft approaches. As we continue analyzing potential trade scenarios for Dallas in the upcoming NFL draft, it's important to dive deeper into the implications of moving down the draft board, particularly when evaluating the trade dynamics. While there's always a focus on moving up, there's a distinct value to be found in moving down, especially for a team looking to accumulate additional assets. The idea of sliding back a few spots could provide a team like Dallas with the chance to get a solid player while also gaining extra picks that could potentially improve the depth of the roster. One thing to consider is the team's history in the draft. Dallas has traditionally been a team that doesn't make many moves in the first round, at least not since 2012. So, if the team does decide to make a move this year, whether it's for a player who's falling in the rankings or just to optimize their position, it would represent a significant shift in how they've handled their draft strategy in recent years. The question remains, would this be the year for Dallas to break from tradition and make a bold move, whether that's moving up or down the board? As we look ahead, there are some scenarios where Dallas might want to move down slightly, especially if they can still grab a player who fits their needs. Moving from the 12th pick down to the 15th or even 16th could give Dallas an opportunity to secure more picks in later rounds. The team could potentially acquire an additional second or third round pick, which might be valuable for adding depth to their roster. This kind of trade down could allow Dallas to pick up a solid starter in the middle rounds, or even a player who has the potential to develop into a key contributor in the future. Another interesting aspect to consider when looking at potential trade down scenarios is the flexibility it gives a team in terms of roster building. By accumulating more picks, especially in the second and third rounds, Dallas would be able to target a number of positions that might need bolstering, whether that's on offense or defense. The team could even look for players who are undervalued, players who may have fallen a bit in the draft but still possess high upside. It's not always about grabbing the flashy first-round pick. Sometimes finding hidden gems in the later rounds can make all the difference in creating a well-rounded and deep roster. Let's say Dallas decides to move back and trade down to the 15th pick. In this scenario, the team could pick up an extra selection in the second or third round, which could help bolster their depth chart. While moving back a few spots would mean potentially losing out on some of the top-tier prospects, it could open the door for targeting players who may be more of a long-term project but have significant potential. In particular, teams often find value in selecting players who may have fallen due to injury concerns or other factors. These types of picks can sometimes end up being steals later in the draft, and Dallas could find themselves with a player who could make an immediate impact down the line. Moving down to the 15th or 16th pick might also give Dallas a chance to select a player who fits a specific need, even if they aren't one of the top-rated players at their position. The depth of the draft this year is notable, and teams looking to build for the future often find success by targeting solid players who may not necessarily be considered top-tier prospects. With the right coaching and development, players in the mid to late first round could become future stars. So, Dallas could find itself in a good position by moving back just a bit, allowing them to secure a player who fits the long-term vision of the team. On the other hand, if the team remains at the 12th pick, there's still a lot of potential to land a top-tier player, especially in the wide receiver and defensive back positions. The draft class is deep in both areas, and Dallas could choose to stay put and grab someone who could make an immediate impact on the field. However, the question remains, does it make sense to move up to secure one of these players, or should the team stay put and take the best available option at number 12? That decision ultimately depends on the team's assessment of the players available and how they project for the future. The draft is about long-term planning, and Dallas will need to make the decision that aligns best with their goals. There are still other scenarios to consider, including the possibility of Dallas trading down even further in the draft. If the team moves from the 12th pick all the way down to the 23rd pick, they could potentially secure a pick in the second round that's worth significantly more than the one they would have selected. However, there's always the risk that they could lose out on the players they want most. If Dallas decides to slide down further, there's the potential to acquire valuable assets for the future, especially if the team believes that they can still find talent in the later rounds. The question, then, is what positions Dallas would focus on if they were to trade down. If they move back a few spots, they could look to acquire an offensive lineman or a defensive back. These positions tend to be deep in the draft, and Dallas could find a player who might not be a first-round pick but still has the tools to develop into a starter. Alternatively, they could look to add depth to their receiving core, which could be an area of need. There are also a number of solid defensive players who could be available later in the draft, giving Dallas a chance to strengthen their defense, which is always a priority for any NFL team. One thing to keep in mind when discussing potential trades, especially in the middle rounds, is the overall value of the draft picks involved. A third-round pick might not seem like a major asset, but it's often where teams can find the hidden gems who could become solid contributors. Dallas, historically, has been a team that focuses on finding these types of players, so moving back to accumulate more of these picks could be a smart strategy. The team's ability to develop players and turn them into key contributors could be significantly enhanced by acquiring more selections in the mid to late rounds. As the draft approaches, Dallas faces a critical decision on how to proceed with their picks. Whether they move up, down, or stay put, the decision will have lasting ramifications for the franchise. By evaluating the trade possibilities carefully and considering both short-term and long-term needs, Dallas can position itself for success in the coming season. The draft is always full of surprises, and the potential for trades only adds to the excitement. What will Dallas do? Will they play it safe, move up aggressively, or find a way to capitalize on the value of their draft picks by moving down? As we approach the draft, it's clear that there are plenty of options, and the team's future could be shaped by the decisions made in these crucial moments. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. A shocking rumor is spreading like wildfire in Dallas. Well, Grier has allegedly made it clear he no longer wants to share a locker room with Dak Prescott. As Cowboys fans dissect every angle of the story, one question looms large. What could have driven Grier to take such a drastic stance against the franchise's longtime quarterback? While no official statement has been made, the speculation alone is enough to send shockwaves through the Cowboys camp. The supposed rift between the two quarterbacks adds an intriguing layer to an already tense situation in Dallas. Prescott, fresh off a frustrating and injury-riddled season, remains at the center of debates about the Cowboys' future. Meanwhile, Grier, who recently rejoined the team after bouncing between rosters, now finds himself in the headlines for a completely different reason. Could this be about playing time, a personal conflict, or something even deeper? If true, This standoff could have massive implications for the Cowboys quarterback room. With Prescott's contract situation still a major talking point, Grier's rumored refusal to play alongside him raises questions about team chemistry and leadership within the locker room. Is this the beginning of a larger divide within the organization? And more importantly, how will Jerry Jones respond to the growing tension? For Cowboys fans, this drama comes at a critical juncture. With the franchise desperately searching for postseason success, distractions like these are the last thing they need. If Grier's alleged stance proves to be more than just a rumor, it could force Dallas into an uncomfortable decision about their depth chart and the direction of their quarterback situation moving forward. As the speculation continues to swirl, all eyes are on the Cowboys camp for answers. Will Grier break his silence? Will Prescott respond? Or is this just another case of off-season noise that will fade as quickly as it surfaced? One thing is certain. This is a story that no NFL fan will want to ignore. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.